So City today ensured the gap was reduced again down to 4 points after a 3-0 victory away at Huddersfield, which saw us go over the 100 goal mark for the season already. But it wasn't quite as comfortable as a 3-0 scoreline would suggest. Let's talk about the game and some of the key incidents from the match in what wasn't certainly the best display you've seen from City this season. Yes guys, hope you're all well. As always, before we do get into the main reaction from the game, if you do enjoy this video, make sure to leave a big thumbs up, leave your thoughts in the comment section down below on the game and who your man of the match was, and just thoughts in general on City's season so far. Always love to hear from you guys in the comment section down below, and thank you again for your fantastic support on these videos and on the channel in general. But we're going to kick things off with the lineups and a couple of I don't want to say shocking conclusions, but a couple of, a Man City lineup is always difficult to predict, but a couple of changes that I didn't anticipate personally. So from Huddersfield, they made 6 changes straight off the bat. Of course, David Wagner had left in the week, and caretaker, boss, came in, and, he made 6 changes. He said they were going to approach the game differently, a bit more attackingly, a bit more free, Mark Hudson, but it didn't turn out to be the case. They still dug in, and it was always going to be one of those games, where the first goal was of major importance. Once you've got that first goal, forces them to come out a little bit, and they did look a little bit dangerous on the break a couple of times, showed flashes of pace, but they never really troubled the City goal until pretty much the last kick of the game was their best chance, where Mounier, who'd come off the bench, put wide. But in terms of City's lineup for the game, Ederson, as always, in between the sticks. Quiet game for him. A couple of simple saves it had to make, but very quiet for him. Back four was made up of Walker, Otamendi, Laporte and Danilo. I think Otamendi was a little bit of a shocking inclusion. We look at Stones and Laporte being the main partnership this season. Company played recently as well. Otamendi's not seen much game time, but we've got a big month ahead. A lot of games coming thick and fast. I think the commentator said at one point we've got 7 games in the next 30 days, whereas Liverpool, of course, who are top of the table right now, have only got 3. So rotation and keeping everyone fit and ready to go is going to be vital. So Otamendi got the nod today. Ahead of him in midfield, we had Fernandinho in that City midfield role. He went off pretty early. He got booked, and I think it was just, again, a case of giving him a bit of a breather for the hectic schedule that's coming up. Ahead of him, we had Kevin De Bruyne, who played his first 90 minutes in a long, long time. Crazy to think that was only his 2nd start in the Premier League this season. 2nd start. He was our best player last season, and that's how much we've missed him. It wasn't his best display today, but fantastic to see him get full 90 under his belt, and hopefully as he plays more minutes and plays more games, he's going to pick up his form a little bit. Gundogan partnered him in the midfield, and then ahead of him, the front 3 was Sane, Sterling and Aguero. So, like I said, a little bit shocked to see neither of the Silvers in there, a little bit shocked that Otamendi was in the back line, and truth be told, I know a lot of people always want Aguero to start, but Jesus had been in prolific form, so a little bit surprised that he didn't start either. But again, Aguero hadn't started for a couple of games. Want to make sure everyone's fit and round together. Competition for places at City is obviously very, very strong, so you can see why he picked the 11 that he did, and at the end of the day, it's got the job done with a comfortable 3-0 win. In terms of how the game panned out, like I said in the introduction, 3-0, it looks comfortable, it looks like a walk in the park, and to some extent it was, but I've got to say, at half-time we were 1-0 up, and it was a very lacklustre performance, a very low-quality game. The only goal in that half coming from Danilo, a deflected strike, still went down as his goal, and that was the difference at the break. There wasn't too much that happened, to be honest, but one massive talking point was Raheem Sterling's non-penalty, and it was one of those that you see these decisions, you don't know how they are given. Mariner was the referee today. It was a stonewall penalty as you're ever likely to see on Sterling. Nowhere near the ball, clumsy angle, clumsy tackle in general, and it wasn't given. And at that point, it was 0-0. I was absolutely fuming. So when we scored that goal, I think it was only like 3 or 4 minutes later, that was a big, big relief. And although we dominated the half in terms of possession, it was slow. There was no real intention, it didn't feel like, and we needed a big kick up the backside at half-time, and I think that's what happened, because when we came out for the second half, we got the game won in a matter of a 2-minute period, about 5 minutes into the half. We make it 2-0 through a lovely, well-worked goal from Raheem Sterling. Great play by Sane. Was he offside? Maybe a little bit offside. He picked the ball up on the left-hand side. He was only a tiny bit offside if he was. It's one of those where if VAR's in, he's going to be given offside and the goal's disallowed, unfortunately. But very, very close. Wasn't given at the end of the day. But as the penalty decisions should have been given, maybe you can say that's equalled that out. I don't know. But crossed it in. Raheem Sterling gets onto it with a diving header. Another goal from him, and so often Sane and Sterling combined. Sane, man of the match for me today, by the way, and just another example of that today. We'll talk a little bit more about Sane after we summarise the events, but yeah, great ball in from him. Lovely header from Sterling. Keeper stood no chance. That was 2-0, and then just literally a couple of minutes later, we make it 3. Aguero doing well, backing into the defender, makes him panic a little bit. The ball falls loose to Sane, who tucks it away at the near post really casually after timing his run well, just where he was in the right place at the right time, arrived onto the ball, cushioned it past Liverpool in between the Huddersfield sticks, and that was 3-0. There were 2 goals in the space of 2 minutes, like I say, and that really did put the game to bed. At 1-0, although we were in control of the game, there's always that chance that Huddersfield can come back into it with something late in the game. When we gone 3-0 up, there was never a chance that that Huddersfield were coming back into it. So that sealed that. Another clean sheet as well. I mentioned last time out that we were keeping clean sheets a bit more regularly. I think I mentioned actually that we kept one against Liverpool, which wasn't correct. But we've kept a couple in a row there now. And when you see Liverpool's game as well, 4-3 for them, they're kind of getting through lightly at the moment. I don't want to say lightly. It was a good win, obviously. 4-3 is a good win. But, you know, we're going to keep on applying the pressure, making sure we don't fall behind. And you know what? We've done it again. Close the gap back down to 4 points, and now it's the onus will be on Liverpool again, particularly as in the next round of fixtures we face Newcastle away before Liverpool play. So if we win that game, close the gap to 1 point, that could be a real test for Liverpool. I'm not sure who they're playing in that fixture, but you know what, again, just going to make sure we keep on applying the pressure and let them know that they're in a real title race here, which is exactly what's going on, because everyone else is just dropping points left, right and centre. You know, Tottenham, Chelsea, United are on the best run of everyone at the moment, ironically. They're claiming some points back at the moment, but they're still nowhere near the title race, obviously. So good to get the pressure on Liverpool, and just a good game in general to get the legs into the likes of De Bruyne. You know, I think when we talk about general performances in the game, Leroy Sane was man of the match for me. You've got to look at his season as a whole. You know, when you look at the way he started off the campaign, he'd been left out the Germany World Cup squad. He wasn't playing regularly for us, and it looked a bit like he was falling out of favour. But Guardiola was obviously taking him to one side, let him get his head together after what had happened with the World Cup. And whatever he said or done, it's paid dividends in the long run, because he's had a fantastic season again. He's almost in double digits for both goals and assists again this season, which is outstanding. Him and Sterling, very similar on the stat front. And again, Leroy Sane was magnificent today. An assist for the Sterling goal and a goal himself. Man of the match display. Fantastic from the young German, and a player that you just want to keep on seeing, putting in great performances. You just don't want to see him leave City. He's so young, he's such a great player. You know, got to make sure that he's playing week in, week out and fulfilling that potential, because he could genuinely be one of the world's best players in a few years if he keeps on going the way he is. You know, he's young, he's got the world at his feet, he's in a great club to do it with the players that are around him as well, in the position that we're in. So fantastic from Sane again today, and just a great long-term prospect, a real fan's favourite as well. I think a lot of City fans love him and have really taken to him. So hats off to Sane. You know, a tough start to the season he's had, but he's really settled down. But I think if you're looking on the other end of the scale, players that aren't impressing lately, Kyle Walker again today didn't have a great game. You know, he got booked for a really poor challenge and in the first half, which put him under a bit of pressure for the rest of the game. But his general level of performance just hasn't been quite as good as it was at the start of the season. Ever since that Crystal Palace game where he had a real nightmare, he's just never really recovered again. Danilo today played at left back. You know, you could potentially see when Mendy comes back in, Danilo slotting in at right back in front of Kyle Walker, and I don't think you'd have had a single City fan saying that at the start of the season. But Walker generally, although he wasn't awful today, he just seems to be struggling to find his feet again after being left out. So hopefully he can get back to his best again, because when he's at his best, he's physical, he's quick, he can contribute in both defence and attack. But again, today's decision making was a little bit poor. Nowhere near as poor as he was against Palace, don't get me wrong, but he was definitely the worst player in a City shirt today, in my opinion. So let's hope he can settle down and get some of the more, like I said, the start of the season performances back out of him again. And last season as well, where he was absolutely exceptional for almost the entire season. So need to get that happening again, and all being well, if that does happen, we'll be looking strong at the back again. I've already touched upon how De Bruyne playing the full 90 today was great to see. Like I say, he's only started 2 Premier League games this season, so for him to get 90 under his belt today was fantastic. But That being said, I was very surprised to see both the Silvers omitted from the squad today. Both did come off the bench, but you look at Bernardo, how fantastic he's been this season, and David is just always exceptional. You know, record Premier League appearance maker after the last time out. And yeah, it was a bit strange to see neither of them in there. And I do think Morris not being in there as well, bear in mind today, it was a bit strange because we looked a bit off balance. I always think Gundogan gets a lot of stick, but I do think when he plays, he tends to slow us down a little bit in the midfield. And it's almost like, I don't know if it is really a factor, but I feel like we're losing a bit of balance, not having a left footer in the centre of the park. I mean, if you look in the attacking sense of midfield today, what footed our players were. You know, I think Sane was the only left-footed player in the midfielder attack, and I think when you've got Bernardo or David in there, because they are predominantly left-footed, they open up different angles to what the likes of Gundogan can. I mean, De Bruyne's great on both feet, don't get me wrong, but like I said, I think that's something that we do miss when either of those aren't in there, because, like I said, it just gives you different options when on the ball, perhaps open up different angles that, like I say, a right-footed player couldn't open up necessarily. But on the whole, regardless, it was a 3-0 win away from home. You can't ask for much more than that, especially you've got to bear in mind Hudson, caretaker manager, coming in. He would have wanted a response from the players from Huddersfield, but always going to be favourites today, obviously. Huddersfield, the lowest scoring team in the entire English football ladder right now. When I say that, I mean up down to League 2. They're a team that's struggling to score. We're a team that's scoring for fun. We meant over 100 goals today for the season so far. 102 we're at now. Bearing in mind we're only in January, that is absolutely outrageous. Of course, the thumpings of Burton and Rotherham helped that, but I actually think that we're now the top scoring team in the entirety of Europe right now. And, you know, considering we're in second place in the league, you've sometimes got to take a step back and say, you know what, when you look at the way we play, you look at our brand of football, it's a joy to watch, and, you know, it's fantastic. Hopefully we can go in and claw back this league title and take it away from Liverpool, but regardless, we play some stunning football, and it's great to see. Even when we're not at our best like today, we've still got the players that can make the difference. But that's going to end up this reaction anyway, guys. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below on the game in general. Like I say, to me, Sane, man of the match, really come back strong this season after being omitted from the German squad and having a bit of a shaky start to the Premier League season. He was outstanding today. Bit of a routine win. We were a little bit lacklustre in the first half, but when we got those 2 goals early on, just put the game to bed. We essentially won the game in a 2-minute period in the second half, really. But putting the pressure back on Liverpool. We need a win now in a strong month, because the games are going to be coming thick and fast again, with the Champions League about to start up again. And yeah, let's hope, like I say, we can get a good month. If we have a really good month, we are going to be right up there, because we've got Chelsea and Arsenal and Champions League going on as well. You know, if we do well this month, I've got a sneaky suspicion we could be overtaking Liverpool. But we'll have to wait and see regardless. A good win again today, keeping that pressure on them. Leave your thoughts in the comment section down below as always, and I will speak to you guys in the next one. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Nidge out.